So we're recording in my new house.
Yeah,
this is
new
the first
office.
time, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, we did one out there in the living room, but this is the actual
Office.
what the studio's going to be. It's a little echoey, no big deal. But I found out that the people I bought this for, probably the reason it went up for sale is the lady that lived here. I assume the matriarch of their familial unit definitely died. And so I was going through, as you do in a new house, all the shit, like the storage areas and stuff, try to find out where I'm going to put anything. So I started putting my tools away downstairs. I have a full basement, and there's two rooms. There's one where we affectionately call it the rape room, because it's just an empty room.
Cinder block walls.
Yeah,
it's the sort of room you would take someone if you wanted to lock them in the basement for 30 years. And
for rape purposes.
Right,
yeah, of course. And then next to that is like a storage area with shelves and stuff. But there was a little box down there, like kind of like a plastic tub. And family photos in a wedding dress from the dead lady.
Haunted studio?
Haunted studio.
Here we go. It's the Bible reloaded, the logic explosion. Like Jesus and Moses, but it's Hugo and Jake. The Bible is jaded, and most of it taken. So get educated with Hugo and Jake. Pull up, doing stop what you're doing. It's Bible reloaded time. They call it debated, the theorists will hate it. I'm talking to taken, but it's Hugo and Jake. So I'm with the show then. It's not candy coated. It's the Bible reloaded with Hugo and Jake. With Hugo.
Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is the Bible Reloaded. Thanks for joining us again on this Atheist Bible study, where we're going to continue reading Jeremiah.
That was a really impressive intro. Yeah. We're almost good at this.
Well, now you ruined it, but
Oh,
anyway. Today we're going to continue. If you watched the previous episodes, you know God has been giving a guilt trip to the people. Today we're going to find out what he plans on doing. Now, essentially what this entire section is, a lot of it is considered by some to be written later because it describes an event that did happen, which is different states from the north came down and were like, hey, Israelites, we're taking your shit over. Some Babylonians. Samaria was involved. It's a whole thing. Anyway.
That sounds like a history lesson. Yeah. So I'm excited, and everybody else is not.
Yeah. But anyway, today we're going to start in chapter 4, but I'm going to summarize most of it because it's basically just God saying, hey, if you guys put away your idols and everything, I'll forgive you, but I'm still mad. Until we get to verse 18, which I find interesting. This is where he's talking about the disasters from the north, that being the invading countries. He says, your own conduct and actions have brought this on you. This is your punishment. How bitter it is! How it pierces to the heart. Oh, my anguish, I writhe in pain. Now,
Oh, no.
two things. Firstly, of course it's poetic. God, you could say, oh, God feels pain. Oh, he's not perfect, whatever. I'm going to ignore that because I think that's a stupid...
Metaphorical
pain.
pain.
It's metaphorical pain.
This also has Jesus analogs, by the way, which I'm sure people probably look at, like I writhe in pain and...
Sure. However, this says, my anguish,
Yeah.
I'm filled with pain. Earlier translations say, my bowels, I'm filled with pain.
So he's got the shits?
So I just think...
He's so verklempt, he's got the shits?
Once again, I think it's a good example of for petty reasons.
Yeah.
Probably because someone pointed out, that makes God seem a little butt of the jokey. Let's change this from...
That was a pun.
Yes, it was.
Nice.
From anguish, or from bowels to anguish
Makes
in the newer
sense.
versions. So, just think that happened in every version change for thousands of years.
I like the idea of the God of the actual Jews to have digestive issues when he gets upset, though.
He would,
that
though,
sounds
wouldn't he?
really Jewy.
Lots of pepto.
Although all the things I know about Jews come from, like, Seinfeld and Curb, so...
In Woody Allen films.
Well, no, Woody Allen, we put him aside because he banged his daughter.
Google that shit.
Oh, not too much, though.
No. I'm going to skip forward just so you can kind of see how God continues on this rant. Starting at verse 27, he says, this is what the Lord says, the whole land will be ruined, though I will not destroy it completely.
So, okay, maybe that means, like, he doesn't destroy it, meaning it still exists, but it's real shitty.
Sure. Therefore, the earth will mourn and the heavens above grow dark, because I have spoken and will not relent. I have decided and will not turn back. At the sound of the horsemen and the archers, every town takes to flight. Some go into the thickets, some climb up amongst the rocks. All the towns are deserted, no one lives in them.
They decided to live in the rocks instead?
No, they're dead. God killed them, and all the towns are deserted. He's just gonna look upon the barren earth and say,
oh, that's him.
Good. It's his, you ever play Sim City and then you start doing the disasters?
Yeah,
You realize your new fucking civic engineering project isn't working out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I feel like all those sim games turn into us just trying to play God and murder people.
I think that the depiction of God in the Old Testament and his anger, jealousy, and revenge say a lot more about us as people than it does about some sort of supernatural being as an entity.
Yeah, I mean, because once you give us that actual power in a simulation, we do the same things.
Right!
We're kind of hypocrites.
Yeah. Bummer.
I'm fine with that.
What are you doing, you devastated one? Why dress yourself in scarlet and put on jewels of gold? Why highlight your eyes with makeup? You adorn yourselves in vain. Your lovers despise you. They want to kill you. That's just paranoid schizophrenic
I know,
thoughts.
this sounds like an Edgar Allan Poe excerpt.
The thump, the thump. Don't you hear it?
It's the cask of Amontillado! That's a solid cask of Amontillado ref.
Mine was Telltale Heart.
Yes, yours was.
Yeah.
Mine was
And it's
cask.
Cask.
I said cask.
Oh, did you?
Not cast.
Well, then we're both on point.
We are. There's a wall and everything. There's a guy there.
Masonry.
Yeah. Guy was really good at wall building.
Yeah, he was
Holy
quick.
Shit. You know, think about that. I'm just trying to build a fence out here. I'm stalling because my friends are busy who are helping me, and like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Good for Edgar Allan Poe.
He masoned most of a wall in the time it took for that guy to just be knocked out or whatever. That whole, if you haven't read that don't worry.
Nothing made sense.
Next year, sophomore year, high school English, they'll cover it. Don't worry about
Wow. Yeah, I forgot that's probably our demo right now.
it. Yeah.
You could always Spark Notes. Do they still do Spark Notes? I haven't written a report in a while.
Kids still cheat, so yeah, they do spark notes.
I hear a cry as of a woman in labor, a groan as of one bearing her first child.
Because, you know, it's not quite as loosey-goosey as the first time as it is maybe the second or third time.
The cry of daughter Zion, Zion being Israel, gasping for breath, stretching out her hand and saying, "Alas, I am fainting. My life is given over to murderers." So God is essentially saying, this is your fault, the Israelites. You have basically strangled Israel, the state, in its own bed with your negligence, with your taking up with other gods, with Baals, with, you know...
And having babies.
having babies with everyone. Fucking everyone. Ever strike you as odd as the people who wrote this very concerned with who's fucking who?
No.
Seems like they got some hang-ups, man.
Yeah.
Stick it in a wet hole. That is my advice.
To be
for
fair,
most
there's not
things.
a lot of wet holes in the desert.
It's true. Maybe that was...
Mostly dry holes.
That is the problem.
They just needed a fleshlight and some lube.
Yep. Water-based. Not oil.
I like spit-based.
Chapter 5, Not One is Upright. This is God. He's going to be talking a little bit about why he's hurting people and stuff like that. And,
He's basically going to justify his abuse.
a little bit.
You made me mad?
Yeah. And so's Jeremiah, actually.
Oh, good.
Jeremiah, by the way, is colloquially known as the Weeping Prophet.
Wonder why.
Because he's, Israel's, they're disobeying.
It's Glenn Beck.
Yes. This was written by Glenn Beck.
Fact.
Go up and down the streets of Jerusalem, look around and consider, search through her squares. If you can find but one person who deals honestly and seeks truth, I will forgive this city.
This sounds awful lot like,
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Yep. The
There's
Bible...
gotta be one person who, like, gives fair prices in town.
You'd think so. Scripture tends to reuse themes and stuff a lot. This is one that comes up often, partially because the people who wrote this were probably aware of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right, it's not...
And they're saying, this is how God operates, so we'll just put that in there.
Yeah, it's typically motif is used to get across the message without having. It's a show not tell, like in film.
Yeah.
Almost.
As much as you can show, not tell,
Right, in a book.
in writing. Yeah.
So.
Although they say as surely as the Lord lives, still they are swearing falsely. Lord, do not your eyes look for truth? You struck them, but they felt no pain. You crushed them, but they refused correction. They made their faces harder than stone and refused to repent. I like that Jeremiah here is essentially saying to God, you destroyed their lives, you're making them miserable. I don't know why it's not working. Why don't they like you? Maybe because of all the things you just listed.
Sounds like Steve Bannon's journal.
Out of all the strategies God has looked at, kill them with kindness, not on the short list, not on the long list, not even in the back of his mind.
We made them hate us. Why do they hate us? It's crazy.
It's weird, man.
And this is why in about 100 pages, they switched to the Jesus strategy.
Yeah. I thought, these are only the poor. They are foolish.
It's definitely the Old Testament.
For they do not know the way of the Lord, the requirements of their God, so I will go to the leaders and speak to them. Surely they know the way of the Lord, the requirements of their God. But with one accord they too had broken off the yoke and torn off the bonds. Therefore a lion from the forest will attack them. By the way, they're describing knowledge of how to deal with God as a yoke. Which, if you don't know what a yoke is, it's like a...
It's the bracket that holds an ox. It's usually a wooden... Well, at this time, it would be a wooden, Y-shaped thing, and then it would have, leather or something around it to keep it yoked, to keep it... It's basically... It's an ox leash.
Right. They're comparing obedience to God as a yoke. So the connotation here is directly obedience to God is a shackle that they have torn off. Now we need to put that shackle back on.
Almost in a obedient slave manner.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be a good thing. And I've heard this from different religious leaders before, wear the yoke of God, it's a good thing. And almost every person that ends up not being religious feels unburdened by removing that. I don't know. I guess... Were there a bunch of atheists just running around with a bunch of Jewy neckbeards? And he got all upset?
Maybe.
Or was it just more? You think they just swapped? How many atheists per capita, per 1,000 Jewy peoples in the area do you think were actually atheists?
At the time of the writing of this, which would have been, hold on, I wrote it down, between 627 BC and 582 BC.
Keep in mind.
And there would have been later additions by the Greeks.
This is, I was going to say, Greek life is happening now at this time, where it wasn't before, as the way we think about it.
Actually, by the way, speaking of translations, because I mentioned it earlier, there are two main camps as far as Jeremiah is concerned.
Oh, good.
Those who follow the version from the Hebrew translation that we have, and those that follow the Greek translation. Now, the Greek translation is apparently...
It's Koine Greek, correct? Or is it just Greek?
I have no idea.
Because I know the New Testament's Koine Greek specifically. It's a dialect.
I don't know. I'm not as much of a history guy as you are. But I know it's in some sort of Greek, and it is about an eighth shorter than the... or is it an eighth longer? Yep, the Greek version is an eighth shorter for some reason. So it
lengthwise or actual content?
Content.
Oh, okay.
Like what's in it. So... There are different versions. Christians, Jews use the one that's in the Bible, but if you're a Greek Orthodox, specifically Christian, you use the longer Greek version. So that's interesting. And it also goes to show that even within religious communities, there is debate about which stuff is canon, which stuff isn't, which stuff is just stuff written later. A lot of this stuff is written way past the point that it's supposed to in later editions, which we'll get to a little later in Jeremiah. But anyway, verse 6. Therefore a lion from the forest will attack them, a wolf from the desert will ravage them, a leopard will lie in wait near their towns to tear to pieces any who venture out, for their rebellion is great, and their backslidings many. So God, directly threatening people with At least 3 wild beasts. Again, I know this is probably metaphorical and it's just...
I assume it's different tribes that they, or enemies they prescribe to
Sure.
like the area. So the forest or the desert.
Like if you were to, like if it were the House of Stark you were trying to represent, you would use a direwolf.
Yeah.
There you go. Why should I forgive you? Your children have forsaken me and sworn by gods that are not gods.
So, okay, there's probably a better way to say that thought without contradicting yourself.
Apparently not, because God said it, and He's perfect, and that's the best.
true.
That's the best He can possibly do. I supplied all their needs, yet they committed adultery. Okay, you did not supply all their needs because they've been in wars, they've lost.
Actual desert.
Plenty, actual desert. Supplied a lot of misery. Is that what you're counting?
You did give him mana once.
Yeah.
Like one time.
No, they gave it to him like every day for 40 years.
Yeah, but that's like one.
It counts as one? Okay.
Like one. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yet they committed adultery and thronged to the house of prostitutes. They are well-fed, lusty stallions, each neighing for another man's wife. That's pretty good right there.
That's pretty rad.
That's pretty good. I wish I could write something that
Is he going
good.
to talk about their dicks in it?
Yeah,
Or is that our job?
it's probably our job. I'm going to go ahead and neglect it.
Yeah, same.
Should I not punish them for this, declares the Lord? Should I not avenge myself on such a nation as this? No, probably not.
Especially because your avenging ends up being like drop a comet on a school. Or...
Yeah, no. No me gusta. I mean in Spanish, not dead meme.
Our dead meme?
No, I'm just saying I wanted to say no me gusta, but I didn't want people to think I was trying to be like that meme thing. I'm just actually saying in Spanish, not good.
The meme thing that I did?
The thing that...
With the me gusta?
Oh, God.
Is that the thing you're talking about?
You know that was a meme before you, right? Me gusta? That was already a thing.
Not me doing it. Those were definitely words that existed for years.
No, but that was...
No,
You guys in the comments explain it to him, I don't care.
I didn't. I accidentally copied a meme.
Go through her vineyards and ravage them, but do not destroy them completely, which flies in the face of what he said earlier about destroying stuff completely. Strip off her branches, for these people do not belong to the Lord. The people of Israel and the people of Judah have been utterly unfaithful to me, declares the Lord. They have lied about the Lord, they said. He will do nothing. No harm will come to us. We will never see sword or famine. The prophets are but wind, and the word is not in them. So let what they say be done to them. So apparently, full of, well, I don't know about atheists. At least Baal worshippers, according to this book.
I'm beginning to believe that maybe God's tactic of messaging is not necessarily effective.
Let me look at reality for a second. This is actually apparently after. Again, I gotta look at my notes. Once Babylonians came and sort of took over the area. Again, the Jews living under, they were in exile basically under a rule of someone else.
Persia.
Yeah. Apparently, this was targeted and written specifically for those Jews so they could look at this and say, see, we were doing bad things. We have to be more Jewy. We need to be more orthodox and go back to the old ways of doing things.
The old ways of doing things being cutting people's heads off and impaling them on posts?
Sure, whatever.
Or, more pious?
More pious.
Okay, because I didn't know if this was a military retaliatory effort.
No, it's just this is why, get back with God and things will be fine.
I don't think that's how any of that ended up working. Throwing it out there.
No. But later, actually, in somewhere around chapter 30, there's a Jesus mention, which is definitely put in after the fact. So.
Good.
Therefore, this is what the Lord Almighty says. Because the people have spoken these words, I will make my words in your mouth a fire, and these people, the wood it consumes. People of Israel, declares the Lord. I am bringing a distant nation against you, an ancient and enduring nation, a people whose language you do not know, whose speech you do not understand. Their quivers are like an open grave. All of them are mighty warriors. They will devour your harvest and food, devour your sons and daughters. They will devour your flocks and herds, devour your vines and fig trees. With the sword, they will destroy the fortified cities in which you trust. Yet, even in those days, declares the Lord, I will not destroy you completely. That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
He's saying, I'm going to send against you. Essentially, he gives them a description that gives them the visage of this warrior race of people who are going to come and destroy them. And then God says, I'm not even going to destroy you all. I want some of you to watch. Like, it's just fucked.
Okay, so this definitely took place at least before 619 BCE. Because that's when the Babylonians don't exist anymore.
So, I guess that's it for this episode. God being weird again. Why do you want to leave people to watch?
I don't know. I guarantee during World War II and the Holocaust and stuff, people used that last thing to explain the Nazis and shit and why they deserved it. Though, it seems very applicable. Right?
I'm grossed out that you might be right.
Yeah.
So, that's it for this week. We'll be back to this following Tuesday. I will be officially moved into my place. Mm-hmm. And
so
at that point,
that Wednesday video should be... If that's not 100% full, we have a studio. The Friday one almost certainly will be, and the following Wednesday definitely will be.
And at that point, we'll be back to a regular schedule. Piran will be back on schedule.
Movie reviews and all the things. Also, we are doing a live stream. Are we doing that on this channel or on Pop?
This channel, because it's
this channel. Oh yeah, it's the P.O. Box. We're doing a P.O. Box live stream opening thing, just like last time. That's Friday. We decided?
Friday?
Or
aren't you leaving somewhere Friday?
Yeah. It'll be this week soon, so just stay tuned. We're gonna be doing that. It'll be a lot of fun. Maybe it's when I get back.
Maybe when you get back.
Take a short trip real quick just to grab some stuff. But yeah.
And the P.O. Box is right here.
There it
is.
is.
If you want to send us any more stuff, you might be able to get it in under the wire right before.
That's true.
I go pick up the stuff.
Have to send it 2-day mail, but or you can wait until the next one because we'll definitely open it. If you send stuff, we will almost certainly open it on the stream unless you tell us you don't want us to.
Yes.
So it's a good way to get like a little shout out thing.
Yeah,
that's fun.
So, I guess that's it. You can always follow us on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
You can follow Hugo Reloaded, and you can also subscribe to this channel and all of our other channels. Definitely press the bell to make sure you are notified when your fresh hot dick jokes come out of the easy bake oven that is our mouths.
Yep. And if you want to help support the show, you can always do so on our Patreon. We do a once-a-month patron-only hangout, which we have yet to do this month, and it is the 26th. So we have failed.
Yeah, but you moved and I moved.
God damn it, we're going to have to do so many next month to make up for it.
We're going
to have to stop moving.
Which is good, because now we have fucking deeds.
Yeah, that's good. They probably don't want us to just walk away from that. They seem pretty...
I'm not 100% sure how house owning works, but I'm pretty sure I'm locked into this shit.
They seem pretty serious about this whole 30-year thing.
They made me... mine's only 15. They made me sign a whole bunch of papers, though, and I'm pretty sure that means something. Nah.
Not a lawyer. Anyway, until next time. Hugo.
And Jake.
Bible Reloaded.
It's real beige in here.
Kind of pink.
It's not pink.
It's pink.